JayDreamerZ presents Being a Time Lord and so much more.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's JayDreamerZ, and I suppose I don't need this anymore. Anyhow, welcome to the live stream. I posted it a couple days ago, so everyone kind of had a heads up, and we're going to get right into it. I'm just going to assume the audio is good. I spent a lot of time trying to set things up, so hopefully you enjoy. But hopefully you'll be enjoying the topic even more. What's up to everybody in the chat room? We'll jump in to the chat a little bit towards the end, but right now I want to get right into what are we talking about. There's probably a lot of Doctor Who fans out there. I am one of them. There is a reason why I have not really mentioned Doctor Who this entire time I've had my channel, and the reason for that is one of my subscribers had left a comment, suggesting that I check this out. And one of my good friends also said, hey, why don't we watch Doctor Who? So I gave it a watch. I have not stopped watching it since. And I honestly didn't want any spoilers from people all over the comments. So I've seen almost all of the episodes now, and I'm going to talk about it in this live stream. This is not going to be me talking about the show and what are my thoughts on the show and things like that. No. I'm going to be talking about the real life application, the truth that's behind the concepts that are presented in this show. It's one of, I think it's either like the longest running series ever or something close to that. It's very popular. Why does this show resonate with so many people? Why does it have such a large fan base? Well, I'm going to give you my unique JayDreamerZ perspective on it, and I'm going to begin by stating something that I believe all of you watching right now already know. It's something that you already understand, and that is that the best truth, the truths that really hit home, are presented in the guise of fantasy, right? The best truths are given to us in allegory, in story form, in books, in movies, in legends, and myths. And those are the types of truths that I resonate with. I pick up on those, and I believe that there are truth seekers out there who recognize the truth. They see through the facade of cartoons or fiction or untrue events, but we can see and we can feel the truth that's presented to us in the guise of fiction. Doctor Who is one of the best films, television series, whatever it may be, that I've ever seen that has presented truth in such a way. So, mostly what I'm going to be covering is the Time Lord. What is a Time Lord? And for those of you who have not seen it, okay, spoiler alert, I'm going to be discussing many aspects of the show, so it's up to you, all right? But Doctor Who, all right, his name is not Doctor Who, he's just Doctor, the Doctor, as a matter of fact. But Doctor Who, that's the question. That's the question, that's the main title of the show. Who is this man? Who is this Doctor? Well, he's a time traveler, and he's also a time Lord. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis in case you have not seen the show. Okay, Doctor Who is a man who has many faces because he can regenerate, and we're actually going to get into many of those aspects here in a bit. But Doctor Who has a time machine that's called the TARDIS, and the TARDIS is basically this police box that you see. It's like a telephone booth that you get into, and he travels anywhere he wants to in time and space, or time and dimension. And let me just pull up some notes here real quick. So, Doctor Who is a time traveler. What does he do? He's the Doctor. He named himself Doctor. Throughout the entire series, the whole episode, you don't know his name. Nobody knows his name. He just goes by the Doctor. Why does he go by the Doctor? Because he enjoys using his ability to travel and manipulate time and space, because he likes to help people. He likes to bring healing into the world, to help others to grow. And I'm bringing up some notes, things I want to talk about right now. Okay, so let's talk about some of the aspects of being the Doctor, right? He basically goes around saving the world, saving planets. Now, whenever I talk about space or planets, I will be talking about it from a plane of existence. All right, those of you who have seen my videos, you know I think that the Earth is a flat realm, and that there aren't really like stars and planets out there per se. And if you don't buy into that, that's fine. Think of it however works for you. The best thing when hearing other people talk is take what resonates and just leave the rest. You know, put it on the shelf, put it on your bookshelf of your mind so you can reference it later on. You know, even if it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, everything is made of truth. Everything that doesn't seem to be true is really truth that has been reworked, or there are puzzle pieces separated one from another, and we need to find the connections, right? So, that being said, Doctor Who is a time traveler, and he goes around helping people. That's his main thing. He goes around mending time. And let's talk about some of the aspects of a Time Lord. Okay, he's the Lord of Time. Now, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to get this out. This is real, okay? That's why I'm making the video. I know I put cool things for everyone to look at over here. But I'm not talking about Doctor Who as if it's just an entertaining and amusing show to watch. No, I'm not talking about Doctor Who as a fanboy who just likes to talk about Doctor Who because of entertainment purposes. Doctor Who, the concept of an ever-living being that changes form and bounces from time to time, whose sole purpose is to help other people. This is a reality. It's my reality, and I'm going to share it with you today. I'm very passionate about this. Every single time I watch this show, it's like I'm watching myself. It's like I'm looking into a mirror, and I'm remembering things that I've gone through that have been lost in my subconscious, in my energetic past somewhere, or my future. But it's something that resonates with me. Being a Time Lord, or a Lord over time. And we're going to talk about time as well. I hope I'm not being too loud. I'm just, I tend to get a little loud when I'm very excited about things. So, anyhow, I wore my sort of Indiana Jones jacket on purpose because that's who I am, okay? And all of the things I'm sharing with you are pieces of myself, and hopefully many of you out there will also resonate with the things that we're talking about. So let's talk about a Time Lord. What is a Time Lord? A Time Lord pretty much lives close to forever, okay? Compared to puny humans, baby humans, humans with little brains. These are Time Lord terminology, okay? Humans just blow his mind. He adores humans. As a matter of fact, Earth is his favorite planet or place to hang out, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that as well. But the Time Lords live forever. Essentially, they are immortals. Doctor Who is a Time Lord. Now, one of the things that makes him unique and makes a Time Lord unique is his ability to regenerate. And when I say regenerate, I mean come back to life in a different body, keeping the core of who he is, right? He keeps his soul. It's basically reincarnation, but it's instantaneous in the show. I believe that this is a key, important clue as to things that are actually happening out there in the world. Now, let me say this. I'm not saying that everyone is a Time Lord. but I am saying many of us are. And I'm going to get into that as well. Ask yourself, as I talk about it, are you a Time Lord? Have you ever met a Time Lord? We're going to get into more details. But anyways, regeneration, right? When they die, they basically reincarnate and they just take on a different body. That's all. They remember most of who they were. You see, there's this thing that I'm going to get into in a little bit called the veil of forgetfulness. It's also known in Hindu traditions or other traditions as well, but it's known as Maya. Maya is something that I know exists. It is a veil, and a veil is like a sheet, okay, of forgetfulness. We come into this world, and our memory is spotty at best. You know, we experience things, but the memory, it's hard to hold on to. It's like waking up from a dream. You know, you have to try really hard to remember most parts of it. You know, and that veil called Maya, that veil of forgetfulness, is so strong that it stays with us for the first 2 to 3 years of our lives. And then it starts to lift a little bit more as we mature and we grow older. Now, for some of us, that veil is heavier, and for some of us, that veil of forgetfulness is weaker. Or maybe you could say there's like holes in it, or that it's almost kind of, it's so light that it becomes sort of see-through. Now, that veil of forgetfulness is light to an extreme degree when the doctor, the Time Lord, regenerates. So when he takes on a new body after he dies, right? He remembers most of everything that just happened to him, and all of his distant memories. Now, that is something that goes on today. We should be, I'm just going to come out and say this. Reincarnation is real. It's absolute truth. There is no such thing as death, as how we are taught and how we are conditioned to believe that, death is something where, you need to be alive right now, and one of these days you're going to die. Why don't we talk about it all the time if it's really that true? If there was a such thing as death and nothing really mattered, wouldn't there be so much more chaos going on in the world? There's a point to it. There's something inside that different people call different things, whether it be morals or integrity or a soul or a spirit, but there's some point to existence. There's some meaning to it all. And we understand this, it's integral to us. We understand it without even having to think about it. We know that there is a reason why I need to continue working on myself. Because it's not that it doesn't matter. It does matter. It develops. It carries on. It moves forward through life and past and beyond what we call death. Time Lords understand the concept of death. They understand that there is no such thing as death. Okay? There is only life. Just like there is only truth. All over the place. Everything is made of truth. Truth can be distorted, it can be reworked and rearranged, but that's the only pieces you have to work with are the truth. There is no absence of anything. There is no separation from anything. Time Lords understand this. And I say the word Time Lord, but there are lots of other words that we use today to describe people like this. So, a Time Lord understands that he can regenerate. And they also have the ability to take their memories of their recent past life that they had experienced and all of the other past lives that they have had, and they contain all of that memory. They bring it with them, right? They learn from it. This is why they are so wise. So they're so smart, and they seem to be so different than everybody else. But I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm going to hit some highlights and then we'll come back to a lot of this stuff. Time Lords reincarnate. They regenerate. and they take their memory with them. When they are born again, when they are reincarnated, they do not reincarnate as most of us do, with no memory of what has just happened, where we just came from, what was just going on. Those things do carry on with us, but that veil of forgetfulness is so strong that we ignore it. But in some of us, it's like a splinter in our mind, and it resurfaces throughout our lives in things like deja vu, or in instances where we dream and we're half awake and half asleep, or when we're watching a really good movie or reading a good book and we resonate with something, some experience that's being presented to us as if we've been through it. It's because we have. So let's talk about reincarnation a little bit later. What else defines a Time Lord? What is a Time Lord, right? Time Lords are immortal, like I just said. And I want you to keep in mind the other videos I've done about the elven race, or the god race, and how they are the immortals. Okay? Because we're going to tie this all in together. But Time Lords are immortal. They are immortal beings, essentially, living in these bodies that they reincarnate with. Okay, sorry. Like, everyone's like, move forward, man. I understand. I get your point. Okay. So here's the deal. Because they are immortal, because they keep and retain their memories of all of these lives, it has a sort of effect on them. They are the black sheep. They stand out. And one of the things that they notice is they're so interested with themselves. You know, they look at themselves and they're in awe. They're in wonder of, wow, look at this new body. Look at it. Wow, look at it aging. It's growing. There's wrinkles and gray hair, and, you know, or I'm so young, or they are amazed by these things. And it's a childlike quality, or an innocent quality, that is very natural to a being that lives for a very long time. When they take on a new body, it's an amazing experience. And they are in awe of themselves. It's not like, you know, they think so highly, like, oh, I'm so this or I'm so that. But they're just like, wow, look at this. Because they know it's not them. They know that these things, these arms and legs and, you know, facial hair and teeth and all of this, it does not define them. It's like getting into a different car. And they're like, wow, you know, they're checking out all the features of the car. But they still are themselves on the inside. They will drive the car however they'd like to. I hope that makes some sense. All right, so that's the deal. They live for a very long time. They're basically immortal. But whenever they regenerate, they reincarnate. They take with them these memories. That veil of forgetfulness is not so strong, and they're amazed by the things they see. Not only are they amazed by their own bodies, their own vessels that they now inhabit, that they get to go live this brand new life. Now here's the deal. In the show Doctor Who, you know, his incarnations don't last that long, comparatively speaking, you know, because you're only watching for like a season or 2 or 3, and then he'll get a new body. But in reality, the real Time Lords will live out entire lifetimes in these vessels. It's not just an episode or a season or whatnot. They are lifetimes. Now, I say the word lifetime and it sounds like a very long time, but it's really not. Especially for humans. Those who have taken on human form, a lifetime is not that long. It's an episode of Doctor Who, essentially. It's a season. You know what I mean? I am in this body. I am in this vessel. But it's one of many that I've inhabited, so I get to have fun with it. I get to do different things with it. And that's interesting, because it all plays into this whole goal of living, which is to experience in all of its glory and splendor and ugliness and perversion and excitement and rescuing and fear and love and lust and innocence. It's all a part of experience, right? So anyhow, Time Lords regenerate. They live forever. And they take with them into their next generation, or regeneration, their memories of all of their past lives. Now, many of you out there have thought, I wonder if I've ever lived a past life. Or I know for sure I've lived a past life. And you think about it. And sometimes it's like the more you try to focus on it, the more it sort of disappears, right? You have to look at those past memories through a peripheral sort of remembering. You know how sometimes you can see something off to the side, but you're really focusing on that in front of you? That's kind of how it is with remembering past lives, at least in my experience so far. So let's move forward. What else defines a Time Lord, right? They live forever, and because they live forever, they take on different companions. Now, they don't really have a whole lot of friends. Not good friends that they visit all the time, and they go have dinner, and they hang out. No. Time Lords do not make friends very easily, and there's many reasons for that. One, they're eccentric, right? We are strange to other people, you know? And I'm not saying all black sheep are Time Lords. I'm not saying everyone who feels a little bit different is a Time Lord, but it is something that you can notice and say, oh, that's a good inclination, okay? Time Lords take on different companions. You could call them wives. You can call them girlfriends or husbands or boyfriends. You can call them best friends. But here's the deal with Doctor Who. Every time he picks up a companion, a traveling companion, if you will, it's only for a short time. He doesn't have a sidekick that stays with him for the entire length of all the series. No. He picks up a companion. He allows them to get to know him for a little bit. He tries to impart some wisdom to them, to help them to think outside of the box, to help them to heal other people, to help them to have an effect on the world and in the time that they live in. And then he moves on. And he'll meet somebody else. He'll meet another group of people. But those are the companions. Now, it doesn't have to mean that you, in your life, even though it can be, for example, in my life, right? I live in little blocks of life, right? Little, almost like 4-year little blocks. And I have picked up various companions during different episodes of my life. Right? I've met different friends. Sometimes it was a girlfriend. Sometimes it was a best friend. You know? Sometimes it was a mentor or whatnot. But eventually those people went away, or I went away. Okay? It doesn't have to all be in one lifetime, though. If you've lived prior lifetimes, then you've had companions while you were in your prior generation. Not your regeneration, but in your past life. You may have had a wife the whole entire time, but then you died, or then you changed form, you took on a new body. And then you have a different experience. Immediately, you start playing that particular part. But you keep the integral part of you, your spirit, your soul, or whatnot, and you pick up new companions. And the Time Lords understand this. They don't mourn over death. They don't mourn and experience all this grief over loss. Because they understand everything continues on. Everything moves forward. And so will they. And because everything continues on, they will watch and they will see growth and life and death and continuing on that cycle. But they understand that death is not something that is catastrophic. It just signals the birth of something else, including for them. So, Time Lords live forever. They regenerate. They meet companions that are temporary, that they take on through their travels. You know, some of you might watch my videos and you're like, man, I'm watching all JayDreamerZ videos, and then pretty soon some of you will be gone. I will be gone. I will not always be on YouTube. This is a season of my life. And one day that season will be over. And there will be no more JayDreamerZ making videos and whatnot. I will have gone and done something else. Constantly pushing forward, going on my adventures. And during those little pieces of time, I take on those who are interested. Those who get excited at that possibility of adventure and exploration. Those mostly who want to feel their heart beats. Who want to feel alive, like there's blood rushing through your veins and you can die at any moment. Or you can live at every moment. So, anyhow, what else? Oh, the Time Lords are eccentric. Doctor Who, whoever you are out there. Doctor Who is eccentric. A Time Lord is eccentric. What do I mean by that? I mean they're a black sheep. They stand out. They don't normally get along. They seem kind of strange or different or out there. Well, of course, if you've lived for thousands and thousands of years, and you know so much more than these babies that are growing up and still have that thick, heavy veil of Maya or forgetfulness about them, and you don't. Sometimes it's fun just to be a little bit different. Sometimes it's a learning tool, or a teaching tool, I should say. To be a little bit out there, because people tend to remember whenever you act kind of crazy. Even though you might not be crazy, it definitely sticks in the mind of the people who you meet. When you throw a wrench into their wonderful loop system, into their cogwheel of life that they live in. Sometimes it helps. So, what else? Oh, the Time Lord has enemies, right? And the Time Lord struggles with even having enemies. He doesn't want to have enemies. This is an internal conflict for many of us. For many of us, we don't want to have enemies. And it whenever we go to war, whenever we fight, whenever we debase ourselves and we become lost in that emotion and we allow our reasoning to be controlled by our passions, in hindsight, we're disappointed. But it's a learning tool for all of us. We don't want to have enemies. I'll give you an example. Whenever I read comments, sometimes people will just say, sometimes people will say just the worst things. And it's still kind of new to me. I know there's a such thing as trolls on the internet or wherever else. But it brings out that part of me that wants to be the warrior, the war doctor. The one that says, okay, let's handle it physically and let's think short term. And that's a part of us that we reject. That's a part of us that comes with incarnating in certain forms, right? Like we do. And we battle against that. We don't want enemies. We want so much to elevate our minds and our energy in order to realize and constantly live out the value that everything is connected. There are really no enemies. They're an extension of myself. The number one enemy for the Doctor is this R2-D2 looking robot way off over there. Those are called the Daleks. The Daleks are the extreme version of those who take the left-hand path. And if you don't know what the left-hand path is, a great example of it is if you type in the Tree of Life. You could type in Kabbalah or the Tree of Life, and you'll see these little circles, and they split. They make these paths. One goes off to the left, and it represents knowledge and orders and the ends justifying the means. It's a very robotic mindset. It's a very computer-like, artificially intelligent mindset where it's pure information, right? There is no value, there is no moral or integrity or anything on the left-hand path. It's about accumulation, integration, and application of knowledge or information. The right-hand path is the extreme opposite of that. It's pure emotion and feeling and mood and I don't know. Just think of other words for that, okay? That's why we have thesauruses. But anyhow, the Daleks are the extreme left-hand path. They are war-driven, robots, basically, and he fights that. You see, the Doctor is a good blend. He takes the middle path. The middle path balances out your raw emotion with your intellect and your knowledge. It balances them out as you go. And the Doctors, the Time Lords of the world, are continually balancing. It is a balancing act. Now, those who are not balanced or at harmony, at peace, right, in the middle path, will always instinctively try to pull in their direction because they see the beauty of the Time Lord. They see the balance and the harmony, and instead of going to it, they want to pull it to them so that they don't have to move. The Doctor fights this. He's always tempted by this, one way or the other. So, those are the Doctor's enemies. They're not really external enemies. Those are our enemies inside. Those are the enemies that you battle inside of yourself. They're extensions of you. Those are opportunities for you, Time Lords out there, to work on yourself, to constantly better yourself, to know yourself and understand yourself of who you are, and to become better and better and better. We become better by giving away, by helping others. That's why he's known as the Doctor. Right? So, moving forward. Oh, Earth. Let's talk about Earth. Okay, I'm going to talk about like my perspective of a flat Earth, plane of existence, Middle Earth type realm. Okay? I know in the show, Doctor Who, they portray the TARDIS flying off through space, and there are planets and whatnot. But I don't believe in that. I don't see the reasoning or the rationing. Rationing? I don't understand it. I used to understand it. But now I have a much better concept, which is an ancient concept that feels right to me. Now, the Doctor always comes back to Earth. For some strange reason, this immortal who can travel the infinite expanse of space and time, is half of his episodes are on Earth, in like Great Britain. I mean, that's where it's filmed, but it's on Earth. Why does the Doctor love Earth so much? Well, my theory on that is that this is our home. This is our middle realm. There are other realms outside, and there are realms above and below as well. But this is where it all balances out. This is the middle portion of everything. This is where the action happens. This is where the fire is that we are forged in. This is where there's a mix of everything going on, and we find out who we really are. Now, the further out we go in any direction, once we realize who we are, we start working on that. We start perfecting it, right? But here is where the Doctor has like half of the Doctor Who episodes are all on Earth. I was thinking of a joke I made. Anyhow, so yeah, Earth is the focus on Doctor Who, right? This is a very important place to be. I know the world wants to trick us all and make us think like that we should hate this world and it's just horrible and it's hell. A lot of people have referred to where we are now as hell, as a place of torment and torture. Now, there are varying degrees of how we feel. But if we step outside of this comparative mindset where we compare things to another, we realize that it's just polarity that's kicking in. What do I mean by polarity? I mean a literal pole where up here is bliss and perfection and down here is horrible and I don't like that. And you know, anywhere on there, it's all part of the same thing. It just simply is. But it's polarity. And it's how we compare ourselves to what's happening around us, to the time we live in, to the people we're around. Time Lords realize it's all connected. It's all one. There really is no time. Time is an illusion. Time is a part of this veil of separation. There is a veil of forgetfulness that falls upon us to have us forget our our history, our past lives, where we've come from and why we're here. But there's also a veil of separation. Time is simply separation. There is really no time. Everything is always happening all at one time. But guess what? It's fun. It's fun to live moment to moment to moment. This video, this live stream right now, wouldn't be as awesome if time did not exist. I mean, it would just be instantly understood and known, which is kind of cool too. But we live in time. It's a tool that we use, that we employ. Now, the Time Lord can manipulate time. Now, all of you have manipulated time at some point in your lives. Time can be and is all of the time manipulated. We choose how we want to experience it, how fast it goes or how slow it goes. I'll give you an example. They say time flies when you're having fun. We've all experienced this. We say, oh, I wish I had more time to spend. I'm having such a good time right now. Or if something's not all that pleasing, it seems to be taking forever. That's you. You are manipulating time. Time is not manipulating you. It's the reverse. You are the energy and the power source that changes the world around you. Another example is I used to play basketball in my younger days, and I was quite proud because I was very good in my own mind. And I was so good that I felt like I had perfected it. I couldn't do any better. And when I had that ball and I was going to the basket to try to score a point, time for me literally slowed to a stop. I was thinking about every single person on the court. Those who were behind me, I knew what they were doing. I knew what they would be doing. I knew where they would end up. I knew what I was doing. I knew what the opponent was thinking and all of the options that were presented based on what I did at that moment with the ball that I had. I could jump up in the air and time would slow down. I had so many options and it was easy for me. Many of you who have perfected different avenues in your life may have experienced the same thing, where time just seems to slow to a halt. It's like you have the whole world and all of time before you because you're a lord over time. You can do whatever you want. You can make things happen however you want them to. Now, unfortunately, we only apply that in small little instances in our lives, instead of realizing you're a lord of time. You can change and manipulate history, all of history, the future, and the past, however you would like to. Because we're conditioned to believe in this concept of death and, we only get one life and you've got one life to live and you're only here for a little bit of time and whatnot. Well, that means that you can't really have much of an impact. But what if you don't? What if you're here forever? Or what if you're just everywhere forever? I don't want to get too deep, I know, I'm sorry. So, let's talk about the box, the TARDIS, the telephone booth that you've seen pictures of and that I am currently in right now, right? Anybody who has gone down the conspiracy rabbit hole has come across Saturn worship and the concept of the black box, this box being associated with Saturn, but not just Saturn, Kronos, the god of time. The TARDIS is this time box, and being in this box, which by the way is a three-dimensional representation of the fourth dimensional, I forgot what it's called. Hold on, I'm going to remember. The Tesseract. Okay? And you will see the Tesseract, if you're into Marvel and things like that, you'll see the Tesseract being presented as very powerful. However, it's basically a cube, a hypercube, that has the ability to create and manipulate what we call time. It's a machine, if you will. It's an extremely advanced machine that's always existed because it's a machine that has to be outside of time. It's a construction of the Time Lords, of you and me. Those of you who I'm talking to. We made it. And we're always trying to blame Satan. Let's blame the devil. Let's blame Kronos. I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not supporting all of the malevolent bad ideas out there. I'm not supporting being immoral or perverted or weird or hateful or any of those things that are associated with those entities. But I'm saying let's step back and look at it from a rational, reasonable, logical mind. If we are Time Lords, and this cube, this box, is what manipulates and controls time, well, then by extension, the ones that are in charge of it must be us. So, a part of the fun is refiguring out what the heck's going on and how to manipulate it and how to use it. Or maybe we're already doing that. Maybe this veil of forgetfulness is another tool that we've implemented upon ourselves. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a weapon. Ultimately, it does come from ourselves because that's all that exists is ourselves. That's all that exists is one. But I digress. Let's move forward a little bit. Aliens. Let's talk about aliens, right? I gave you all these examples of aliens in all these pictures to the left or to the right, wherever direction it is. I don't know. All right? All these aliens that make their appearance on Doctor Who. Something about this concept of alien life forms. When I say alien, I mean unfamiliar. Not average, not everyday. We don't walk around and see creatures like this physically when we go about our daily lives. But to a Time Lord, you do. To a Time Lord, each one of these pictures, these aliens off to the side over here, you have seen in your daily life. You see it all the time. You look around at what we call humans, and you can see things that carry the energy signature of all of these alien species that are given to us in our fantasy. Right? So we always try to put them way out there in the stars and on other worlds and other galaxies. They're too far away to have any kind of impact on us. No, I disagree. I can look at people all around me and I can see mythical creatures, or what we call mythical creatures. I can see other races of beings that are alien that just happen to have some sort of similar skin type, form. Some sort of similar bipedal form. But the more that I go down that rabbit hole, the more that my mind opens up, the more I open myself up, I can feel the energy of these other beings around me. And I'm like, no, not human. No, not human. What is that? That guy over there is literally a dwarf. That guy over there is literally a wizard. That woman over there is literally an orc. I see these things. It's not my imagination running wild with me. It is my intuition, my gut feeling, my childlike innocence, and the balancing of both sides of my mind, feeling what's going on over there with those people. Many of us are people watchers. We're very interested in watching other people to see, just to figure them out. We know that they're not the same. We know that there's all of these different types of beings that seem to be trapped here, taking on what we call human form, because that's the form that dominates right now. And so these energetic signatures that are continuously reincarnated, they have to take on that form. But the Time Lord can see through it. The Time Lord can recognize and go, oh, I remember you. No, you're not human. And as a matter of fact, many of these, what we call beings that are taking on forms, they're not beings whatsoever. They're computer programs. They're robots. Tell me you haven't come across a person in your daily life that just didn't have a soul. They just didn't seem like there was life in the eyes. It's people that just seem to just walk from one point to another point, and they just do repetitious things. They're soulless. They're robotic. Their bodies, their cars, their vehicles. This is a robot. This right here, This is a machine, a highly advanced machine. You know, if you zoomed in at the nano microscopic level, you would see this is all a self-repairing, self-working, advanced form of artificial intelligence. This right here. Now, this artificial intelligence is ruled over by the vessel that drives it, which is me, which is you, which is your energy signature, your point of consciousness that decides to step in and take the wheel. But some people don't have a point of consciousness. Some bodies are walking around like this guy up there. They're Cybermen. They're robotic. They're just on autopilot. And because they're on autopilot, now this is me speculating, but it seems to me that they're basically empty vessels that are going around on autopilot, which means they can still be inhabited. And I believe that some of the ruling class of our world understand this concept. And so they understand how to transfer from body to body, from car to car, vessel to vessel. And maybe they even understand or are working on how to retain the memories of their past lives where they just were. Many of you can do this. Many of you have done this. And it might be kind of scary to you at first. It might be kind of unnerving, and you don't want to, it doesn't feel normal according to the normality of the world we live in. It doesn't feel normal to address it or to speak about these things. But it's in the back of your mind. You know it. You understand that there's so much more going on. There is a lot at play in the world we live in, and you're a big part of it. All right, moving forward. Aliens. Okay, so anyways, yes, I can look around and see the aliens in the world that we live in today. Are there other beings in other realms, in other what we call worlds that might physically have a different appearance? Yes, I think there are. However, we might live in some sort of quarantine trapped area where that reincarnation cycle has been hijacked or used for a different reason. And so those old beings in a world long forgotten and erased and deleted from our minds and our history that we remember in our collective subconscious, that we all understand once existed, that's echoed in all of our volumes and our greatest works. That world was inhabited by many different races of beings that we call aliens today. You know, elves, dwarves, dragons, humans, wizards, all of these different things. But something happened, and it's my theory that the world that we live in now was closed off, and those who are inside have suffered the fate of living in the reincarnation cycle and having to continuously take on what we call today human form. Anyhow, that's getting a little off topic, so I'm going to move forward a little bit. Time Lords do not care about money. It's nice. It definitely helps out in the world we live in, you know, and we know how to use it. We understand what it is. We definitely understand what it is not. But it's not a big deal to us. You know, Time Lords, we're not impressed by gold or diamonds or jewelry or bling or coins. You know, none of it doesn't have any value. We see value in the lives of the people who we interact with. We see value in the growth of our world. That holds value to us. We see the value of small moments that are so unique, that are just can't be replicated in that exact same way with that same person in that same scenario. That is our currency. We strive to continuously produce more of that in the world that we live in. We don't care about if the shirt says Nike. I mean, how many of my videos have you guys ever seen where I'm wearing some sort of a name brand, you know, some sort of logo? I may have, but almost never, because I don't care. Time Lords have seen it all. They understand there's nothing new under the sun. They understand how futile it is to go around wearing something that says Nike versus something that's made the exact same way, but it doesn't have the symbol on it. We know where the symbols come from. We understand the elements of magic that are behind those spells. So we don't care about money. Usually we will not be utterly rich, just fabulously rich, okay? And if we are fabulously rich, we usually are very eccentric and do very strange things. Not because we're so rich we can just do whatever we want to, but simply because we use the money or the wealth as a tool in order to hurry up the process, to help out more people. You know what I mean? And there are many of us who are very poor as far as money goes. We don't have money. We don't want money. We don't need money. So we didn't enter into this particular part of time attracting all of that towards us. As a matter of fact, many of us know and understand that the money or wealth or the things that we need will come to us. It is drawn to us. It just comes in. And I guess I'm talking about the law of attraction, but it's just something that is inside. We know that we have everything that we need already. And anything that we seem to lack is on its way. I hope that makes sense. Anyhow, titles do not mean anything to us. That's why I go by JayDreamerZ, you know? Just how the doctor doesn't really reveal his real name or whatever. My real name is Jason. But that's not me. I didn't choose that name for myself. I was named in an interesting way after Jason and the Argonauts. And if you know that story, it's very interesting, the life that I've lived and how it's very similar to what I was named after. But that's not me. That does not define me. Usually people were named a long time ago. And you may have wondered this, right? Why are people named what they are? You know, nowadays, people just name their children things almost as if it's Nike. You know, they want them to have a cool name. They want them to have a strong name. Or they want them to have a pretty name or a pleasant name. It's just based on the sound. The sound is based on our subconscious and where those sounds and words come from. But we can't describe it. We've lost our identity, and we have definitely lost our picture form of communication that we call an alphabet. They're just random sticks that don't have any meaning to them anymore. A long time ago, people were named after they were born, after they developed a name for themselves. Babies, children, toddlers, they went years without having a name. People would refer to them, you know, but they didn't have their own name because they would make a name for themselves. There would be some attribute about that point of consciousness, and it would make sense to call them a particular title or name. That's the other thing that we don't care about are titles. Doctor, lawyer, judge, Mr. I would never have anybody call me Mr. You know, hey, Mr. Now you can, you know, actually there's one person out there that does. And hello, if you're watching. It's okay. You can call me that. Anyhow, but we don't force it upon people. We don't insist upon, excuse me, that's Mr. to you, or that's senior, or senor, or doctor, or reverend, or, you know, we don't care about titles. We understand that we are who we are inside here. And because of that, we also don't care that much about symbols, right? For example, tattoos, right? Now, many of you out there probably have tattoos, and I'm not saying there's anything bad or wrong with tattoos, but here's what a Time Lord understands. We have every tattoo you can possibly imagine. We have all of the tattoos. We have all of the symbols, and they're written right there. And anybody who has spent some amount of time with us can begin to see those symbols. They can begin to see the lettering appear. If I were to, take my jacket off and show you my arm, if I were to go like that, and I would say, what tattoo would you imagine? Based on getting to know me, you'd say, oh, I could totally see you with a tattoo of this or a tattoo of that. Our tattoos are already written right here. All of the symbols, because ultimately no symbol can accurately depict or describe us. So from time to time, we might hold on to our current form, just like in Doctor Who. When he's on the verge of death, he understands he's about to lose his current personality, his current physical form, and he's grown a little bit attached to it, so he's kind of sad. He's like, oh, I don't want to go. I've spent so much time with this form. I've spent so much time hearing the way that this voice sounds. JayDreamerZ has a particular sound. Now, I'm not too thrilled about my own particular sound because I think I sound like a 12-year-old kid. But we have grown accustomed to ourselves. And when it's time to go or to regenerate, we're a little sad, and we reflect on it all. But ultimately, we move forward. Anyways, we don't care about titles. We don't care about authority. There is no authority. We understand each one is their own. You are your own person. There are no police force. There is no judge. There's no king and queen and president and elected officials. There are only points of consciousness all over the place. Some are weaker or stronger, seemingly, than others are. Like I said, that's polarity. So what else? Oh, we understand the fun of it all. Time Lords, even though we can get wrapped up in our particular role, in this particular time, in this particular place, we like to have fun. That's why we're a little eccentric sometimes. Sometimes people just do not like a Time Lord, right? It's just like, there's something about that guy I can't stand. But we tend to be kind of goofy, kind of nerdy, kind of geeky, right? We're into just trying to appear cool, but knowing that we're not really all that cool because we don't really want to be cool. We want to be a different kind of cool. We want to be our own cool. We want to be uniquely cool, if that makes sense. So I'm nearing the end of what I wanted to talk about, but I actually had some notes here, and they're in video form, so you might hear this. Let me pull up the notes. Where are they? There we go. I'll let you listen to it because I made these while I was driving. Okay, side note, we're also going to be talking about manipulating time and how it's entirely and absolutely possible, and many of us do it. For example, when you're in the zone. Okay, I already talked about that. So we're going to skip that one. What's this one say? Okay, so I remember what the other thing was. It's me driving. Time travel, as far as moving around, is impossible. Yeah, you can't see it. Oh, that's right. Extremely improbable. Thank you, self. So that's me, right? This is me in the past. This is me, a little glimpse of me, I don't know, about 2 hours ago, and it's talking to myself. I talk to myself. Oh, that's another thing that Time Lords do a lot, actually. We often find ourselves in the best of company, which is alone. And because we're alone, we talk to ourselves. And it's okay. You know what? When you first start talking to yourself, you have this thought, this sort of fear, and you're kind of like, I shouldn't be doing this. What's the world going to think? What if somebody hears me right now? But the more you embrace who you are, the more you enjoy your own company. And you can find yourself talking to yourself all the time. It's not the sign of a crazy person. It's actually the sign of somebody who's very intellectually and spiritually mature. To work it out amongst ourselves. I mean, ultimately, I know that we're all connected. We're all one. So even though I'm talking to you all, right now, I'm really not. You are talking to yourself. Or, inversely, I'm just talking to myself. And not just because I'm in a room all by myself, and there's nobody there, just little pixels on a computer screen. I understand that you're out there. I understand that you are in here and that we're connected. And that's why I do this. I do this because I care about me. And I'm sorry, I know that sounds selfish, but it's not. Because I know that you are also me, which means I care about you. I care about all of you out there. Even the trolls that say just crazy, nutty stuff, man, that really, whew. I need to do a little more maturing when it comes to that particular topic. But I understand we're all connected. I do these videos to talk to myself, to work it out, so that you can listen to yourself, so that we can connect in places where we just needed to at this particular moment in time. And sometimes we go through fluctuations. Sometimes it's like everything is just hitting us so hard, we get overwhelmed, and it's like, whoa, like, well, there's so much happening, I can't even describe it right now. There's so much that I feel like I know, but I can't put into words. I can't explain all of these things that are coming at me that I feel, I know. I can't even explain it right now, but many of you know what I'm talking about. When all of a sudden you just become overwhelmed because you're reaching out, your energy, your point of consciousness is growing because we're conditioned to think small. That's what we are. We're conditioned to think very small. They keep us all separated and we think very small and we think that we're limited to our hands and how far we can reach out, but you're not. Your hand doesn't move. It is your energy that moves your hand. And your energy is all about your hand. Some people call it your aura, right? If you've ever read Don Juan, the books of Don Juan by Carlos Castaneda, when Don Juan enters into the spirit world, right? When he switches his energetic gears from being a regular human and being involved in stupid temporary human things, and he goes into the spirit world. He's an Indian shaman, okay? He goes into the spirit world, and although he's in the spirit world, he still understands. Remember, spiritual sight is like looking through the peripheral, and it gets more and more focused the more you practice it. But when you first start doing it, it's like looking out of your peripheral. Things are a little fuzzy, but you can see them, and you know they're there. So Don Juan is in his peripheral spiritual world, his spirit world, and when he sees people, they have this egg-shaped torus field. You know, that's a popular word to use now. It's an egg-shaped aura, a torus field, an energetic field around every person. Every person has one. You have one. And you have moments where you just fluctuate and it grows and it goes outside of you so much so that sometimes you can read minds. Sometimes you can feel what somebody else is feeling who's very far away from you. Sometimes you just know it's going to be something bad is going to happen. Something crazy, something terrible. Or something that appears terrible. Or something beautiful. Or you feel at peace and you can feel the connectedness with everybody. So anyway, I kind of feel like I'm going off on a tangent. Let me wrap all of this crazy, seemingly unrelated talk up. Let me wrap it all up with, first of all, I'm only talking to some of you out there. Actually, I'm talking to many of you out there, but there are so many different energetic signature types in this world. This particular video was made just for you so that you don't feel so lonely, so that you can put words to something that you've been feeling for so long, something that's indescribable to you. I just wanted to use the limited resource of words to reach out to you, to bring you some comfort and assurance that it's okay to be who you are. Because I've been there and I am there. I'm on my own little path and you're on your path, and that's beautiful because we need to be on different paths, but it's so wonderful when our paths meet or whenever we get close enough to experience one another. So this is for you out there who are Time Lords. You, maybe it might be, this is a theory I'm coming up with, okay? But I believe that there is an elven race, or the race of the El beings, the Elohim, the Allah, the Alvin race, however you want to pronounce it, the immortals, the Azir, those from the land of Oz. Now the immortals were only immortal if nothing happened to them. They could still be killed. You know, if you chop off the head of an immortal, they're dead, okay? They move on, okay? They don't have a head that just talks and their body moves around. But as long as nothing happens to them, they're not murdered, and they don't choose to die, an immortal will continue living on. What if something happened to those immortals in the old world, and they became trapped in our reincarnation cycle, and they became the Time Lords of today? Those who continuously experience it, and they feel like they don't belong here. They feel more at home with ancient concepts and other times, other modes of dress, other diets altogether, other forms of speech. And they can't explain why. They can't remember why, because there's this thing called Maya that's not designed for us. But if that is true, what a beautiful thing. Many of you, I talk about an author named Tolkien. Tolkien wrote The Lord of the Rings, and he also wrote The Hobbit. But an even better piece of work is called The Silmarillion. And in that, it talks about the elven race, or the El, the gods, the immortal race that came before what we call humans. And it is said that the main god character in that story, the main creator of it all, Iluvatar, I just think it's interesting. The god's name is Iluvatar, right? Elu, like Elu. Remember how I mentioned the Elu of 9 or the Elu of 12, which are rankings in certain secret societies? The Elv, the Elu. Anyway, the main god's name is Iluvatar, as in avatar, right? It is said that he gave the gift of mortality to human beings. What an interesting and opposing concept to how we were brought up. That death is not some sort of gift. But what if it is? What if being able to live life to life to life, time to time to time, to experience it all in its wonder and its glory and its connectedness, what if that's a gift? To be able to what we call die and to regenerate and to come back. So, anyhow, I think that's where I'm going to wrap that up. And we'll jump into the chat. Oh, let me say, I do want to give some shout outs. Thank you to all of the people who have donated on Patreon. You know, the people who are showing support financially. You are all the reason. Not just Patreon, but, people have donated PayPal. My good friends, Jazz Sinclair, Heather Thunderhawk, Conspiracy Mystic. All of the people who have actually taken me to where I am today. You've reached out to me, and so I do my very best to reach right back out to everybody else and to actually talk about things that I feel are important to share in life so that we can get some meaning out of it, so that we can have some fun with it. This is all, I'm hitting a green screen, right? You can't tell. It's pretty good. Wow, that's like really good. But this is all because of you. And so I thank you for all of the support that you've shown. Thank you to everyone who has not just donated money, but everyone who has donated their time, who has reached out to me to ask questions or to share information, leaving me links. I did create a Facebook group called JayDreamerZ Ancient Oblivion Archive. Feel free to join it if you want to leave pictures or links or videos for everyone to check out, and maybe I'll use them on some of my future videos. But anyway, I am very humbled by you all. I wish I could reach out and give you all a big, strong, warm hug and just tell you how much I appreciate you. Not because of anything you've done for me, but everything that you're doing for the world and for the little impacts that you're having that make ripples in time. I really appreciate that. And I want to encourage everyone to make the biggest ripples that they can. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to cry. So yes, I want to say thank you to everybody. Let's see who's in the chat right now. Anonymous user, Danny Aller, G33 Imagination, I Spy NASA Lies, Jamie McFall, Jane Doe, J Analyze, Lucky Penny, Obi-Wan Aragon, 777, Regulators for Truth, BDG, Tommy Lee, and Your Heart is a Portal. That's a cool name. I like that. It is very nice to meet you all. I feel like I have met some of you all, even though I really haven't. There are a lot of important things going on in the world today, and none of it is on the news. None of it is all the hype and the fear porn that's being pushed on all of these YouTube channels and in the media and everywhere else. The most important things that are happening in the world today are happening right there, right here inside of you. You can manipulate time, and you have been, many of you. Those of you who I'm talking to. So anyhow, if you want to reach out to me and you want to chat, feel free to jump on to Skype. Sometimes I use Skype. Usually you can actually message me using Facebook Messenger. And you can just send me a message. If I'm busy and I don't get to you, I'm sorry. I try to get to as many people as I can. If you have ideas for subjects that you'd like to hear about, feel free to let me know. Some things I talk about, some things I don't really talk about. I like to explore the limitations and push the boundaries and push the envelope on all of these things, especially as we get closer and closer to an epic part of time. A heavy, important piece of time that I believe we're entering into very soon. Anyhow, I want to say thank you to everybody. I appreciate you all. Hopefully you enjoy the setup and how it's all working out. If you have any ideas or suggestions, let me know. It's always so hard to say goodbye, isn't it? So I'm going to say goodbye like the doctor. And I'm just going to go. Thanks for watching.
Be sure to check out other fascinating subjects brought to you by JayDreamerZ.